Thank you, sir, for giving me the opportunity to present in this important conference. I will talk about the emergency management at the state and city level. Three opening remarks I would like to mention is first, everything you're going to see in this presentation is coming the source of nuclear. And why is that? Because the nuclear, you cannot hear it, you cannot feel it, and it's long lasting, which means if you look today about Fukushima or Chernobyl, so many years after, there are many people working and trying to do and to finish this event, and it's last longing. It's last long, and also we can see it as a corona. So we all understand that the corona will stay here for a while. Countries which the system has been introduced as adoption, asked to the adaptation to enter to other large scale emergency like corona, pandemic, huge fires and earthquake, which means the model which was created in order to take care of a wide scale emergency in the nuclear field is adapted to the other field of emergency because that's what the countries asked for. Large-scale emergency assessment of any kind based on only nuclear defense methodology, and we will go over it with your permission. Today we'll talk about Ectic Steps. First of all, we define the problem, which basically is a national emergency management. How do you and our government deals with a national emergency in a wide scale? Then we'll talk about the philosophical operative solution, which is the OEDM, Operational Emergency Defense Methodology. And the emphasis here will be on the philosophical operative, and we'll see how the models that exist today, for example, advanced country like Germany, on Canada, Israel, United States, France, and so on, why the team of experts claims that the models exist today are not well will answer the question. We'll compare two models that use today. Then we'll discuss about the users and uses of this methodology. We will talk about limitation of technology and especially the glass ceiling and the HSI. And then we conclude where we go from there. A few words about myself and my background. First of all, what I'm trying to do is to cooperate between the operative and the academic side. On the academic side, I have a BSc in computer engineering, MBA in economy, and the PhD was done in the research of nuclear defense area. Also in the Israeli army, in the IDF, HFC, I am operational colonel and especially specialize in building a wide-scale military exercises like earthquake, tsunami, conventional and non-conventional. Also, I'm the chairman of the Nuclear Forum, and we have many activities in the global platform, in-depth discussion, working groups, and doing very interesting things like discussing and writing a position papers about EMP, electromagnetic pulse, and other problems of emergency, usually related to nuclear. We have a group of dealing with regulation, and we also have something which we will announce in 2 weeks from today, and this is a rating of all countries of the world. 193 countries of the world will be graded in order for how well they prepared for nuclear large-scale event. So if you would like to go more information, you can go to the site of the forum. We can see here that also I'd like to do a field research, and just for a scoop, you can see this is myself in Chernobyl 2 years ago with the staff of researcher, Professor Natasha and Professor Igor, in all those places that allowed and not allowed. And I can tell you, that just so you know, that it's not really dangerous to be there, even though they're telling all the world that it is. And the same as Fukushima, it's not dangerous to be there, but the unknown give a lot of problems. The steps. We talk about the problems. So we all watch the news and we understand that the problem is lack of synchronization. I'm talking about the pandemic, about the corona, any large scale event. You can take the pandemic, you can take Chernobyl, you can take the fires on Florida, and any wide scale emergency. So first of all, we have lack of synchronization. We have the public, which is the most important customer, left out, and the public trust is go to the bottom because of that. The operational personnel from the army and all others, they do not open the pre-prepared plans. That's what happened in Fukushima. That's what happened in the corona right now in Israel, but not only, also in the States. No principle, which means the states and city orders. For example, we heard today that the mayor of Tel Aviv, which is 20 years a mayor of Tel Aviv, was really upset with the prime minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, because the politicians told the mayor how to manage the city. And we all understand that to manage a city is a different quality and a different experience than dealing with a country or state. So the models and the methodology we will talk today is not talking about orders, but talking about principles. And once you give someone a principle, he knows what to do. And I don't believe that a politician can tell the mayor of Tel Aviv, which has been there for 20 years, how to manage the city. And the same goes down, which means if we discuss about how the mayor of Tel Aviv told the principal of a school in Tel Aviv how to treat the classes, this is not good as well, because the principal of a class, just by chance, the mayor of Tel Aviv was a principal of a school, but in anyhow, the principal of a school knows better than the mayor what to do in the school. So what we're trying to do in this methodology is to give principles rather than directions and exact protocols. No stable foundation. For example, we see all the in the TV and the news, confusion, changing methods all the time. These instructions to the public are vary all the time, not arranged, and too complex for the public to follow and to deal with them. Priorities get by pressure. Politicians get opportunities and get money in order, to vote for the right direction. Resources are incorrect allocation, like money, aid, breeding machines. We just saw thousands of breeding machines in some countries that was bought in a very fast move at the beginning from panic. First of all, they're not needed right now. And then second of all, they were bought damaged and not in the quality needed. Contradiction between professional opinions and political opinions. For example, if we take a scoop, the flu that was in Obama's time, it ended only because Obama, gave direction to stop making tests. So you see how the flu went out because they just stopped testing. And I believe that today, if any country will decide to stop testing, then the corona will not be there. HIS, a human integration system, the regulation of technology and the human, this is a triangle which we'll talk a little bit later. So what we see in the problem of the main large trying to, in the national level of emergency, we see that the same problem happened in the corona today, happened in the Fukushima, happened in Chernobyl, happened in earthquakes, happened in Beirut, Beirut event a few months ago, and happened all over the world, which means it doesn't matter what kind of emergency you have. The problem is to manage a large-scale national emergency. Also, we know about the overflow of conflicting information and corona tests. So we're trying to dive a little deeper into OEDM, the Operational Emergency Defense methodology. Next slide will be the methodology and how it works in a very high level. But the point is that I mentioned before that the prime minister and the principal of a school and a teacher and a father of family can all work by the same symphony and this methodology of OEDM. That's the point. It's not that each one of them has a different protocol, but each one of them needs to get principles, and by those principles to go and do what he needs to do. And we'll see that in a minute. And it's solid research mechanism. It was 4 years of research. And what the team took in the research, we took all the things that happened, and I will give you an example later on, that happened in the past events, wide-scale past event, and we plug it into the methodology. And also, as a last, words before we start, before we dive in, is the common denominator for SMB and distance guys. So someone that does not understand security can actually uh, work with this methodology and do it. So first of all, the conceptual philosophical is taking three vector into consideration. It takes the regulation, the technology, and the human. So we're going to look and where is the leak point at the moment. So if we talk about regulation in any countries, even though if it's in advance and not, we have laws, we have protocols, procedures, and guidelines. We all understand that it exists, it's evolving at a rapid pace. So regulation would not deal with the problem. We can find a problem between a country from one, more advanced or less advanced, if they have more regulation or less regulation. But regulation is not a problem. Then we go to technology. Technology is non-stop exponential development that is still in infancy, which means just at the beginning. In macro terms, we have quantum, we have nano, cyber, so technology is not a problem. Then we go to the next step. We go to the slowest of all, the human does not keep up the pace. We are the weakling. So any methodology that today have 700 pages books, it's in the team's opinion, is not a good methodology because it's difficult to follow, and that's what we see in the corona, any other events. So this slide's a little, tense, but I will explain to it. First of all, this is the methodology. We see a full life cycle stage of an emergency event. So we have the LCS, LCS1, LCS2, LCS3, LCS 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. It's the point to mention that some models and methodology of emergency, they talk about 3 steps or maybe 5 steps, maybe the 4 at the moment of the event. And after a long research, the decision was made to take it to 9 steps. Why? Because each step requires different principles and different protocols and different operations to do. For example, if we take teams in advance, today, as we all see in the news, each time, like the second wave or the third wave of the corona, the country decided what to do and they tried to make different steps and different plans. So if they would work by the OEDM methodology, they would go, once it started, they would have teams to work on step 2, on step 3, 4, 5. They will not wait until we get to step 4 and then only to take it. I will go over the steps just so you have it. The sound is a routine. Right now, it's not exactly routine, but we have LCS2, we're emergency routine. Then you have the moment of incident. Then the initial immediate response. This is the moment which I happen to be in some operations in real situation. And the initial immediate response is a big mess. Not only the people below me, but above me and myself as well. We all work as an urgent, and it's not exact, and we have a big mess. So the methodology takes this into consideration and does not ignore it. Then we have the second response, then we have the broad response, the short-term rehabilitation, long-term rehabilitation, and attempt to return to routine. Why? Because we can see an event like Chernobyl, like Fukushima, that is unfortunately, I have to say, unfortunately, we cannot really come back fully to routine. So if we take, for example, Chernobyl, it's in the LCS 9. If we take Fukushima, it's LCS 8. And unfortunately, it's not really managed because nobody forget about it, everybody forget about it, and nobody really remember what's going on there. So the advantage of the infinity ups and downs, this circulation and this symphony that you see here, once you get the 2 hours lecture about it, you know what to do. So for example, if you're a principal of a school, you know what to do with your classes and with your teachers and with your students. And if you're a mayor of a city, you know what to do. You just need to hear the news. Everybody listen, we're going to step 3 now. And once you move for a step, and there is a methodology and there's algorithm how to move from steps to step, it's calculated and there's a recommendation for the decision makers. So how to go for each step. So if we would use this, for example, in the corona right now, we would know what to do, because now nobody knows. Everybody knows that maybe we're in the wave 3, maybe wave 2. It depends which country. We get each night we get anything else, but we don't really know which step are we. Because if we knew what step, each one of us would know what to do inside his house, inside his class, inside his factory or unit. So just an example. So the point is that the infinity, the infinity is the point is, so you can take a student and you can teach him this methodology, and he can see the news exactly like the prime minister. The prime minister will do what he needs to do, and the student will do what he needs to do. But everybody will dance by the same symphony and the same music. So that's not what's happening today. Just a few examples. For example, 71 recommendations inside the methodology. We saw in the research that there is the rule 1 to 10, which means if, for example, for some reason, the mayor of Amsterdam tell 100,000 people to evacuate their home, I don't know, because of a fire or anything else, we know for fact that 1 million people will move. It not only happened there, it opened all the cases that we checked, we have 1 to 10. So if the mayor of Amsterdam would work with this methodology, he would know that if he wants to send the news, people, 100,000 people move, he should be ready for 1 million to move. So this is one recommendation. We have 71 recommendations like that. Or another recommendation, just an example, is the 15 minutes rule. What does it say? We see from all the events in the past that because the prime minister and the government, the official government, did not know what direction and what really happening, they were silent. So all cases we checked, it takes more than 40 hours, 40 hours for the government to say anything official about the incident. Now imagine yourself that right now we're all sitting in the same country or city, I don't know, let's say New York, and something happened in New Jersey in a nuclear power plant, or any danger problem in the train. For 40 hours, almost 2 days, nobody hears know what to do in official statement. So this is bad. So what the recommendation said, he said 15 minutes rule. Something happened, after 15 minutes only, some of the officials go to the news, said, listen, happened this and this, we know very little, we let you know in an hour what's going on. This very small sentence is so important for the public to know, because the public, by research, it's not an opinion of someone, by research said, we understand that you don't know the information. We understand that unknown is a big factor. Please tell us a little bit what you know or what we allowed to know. So this is the 15-minute rule. So we have 71 recommendations like this. It's also important to mention that the methodology take all aspects in account. It doesn't say, let's take the pandemic and let's take it from the side of the medicine. No, it takes medicine, security, money-wise, financially, psychology, all aspects. So for example, we see in many countries today that they really care about the corona, but they ruin businesses and they ruin economy. And I don't know if more people will jump off the building because of the economy. So it takes everything. So we have the 9 steps. We have the colors. The colors are important and not regular color. It's a psychology behind it. And there's a big methodology and how to do this principle, as we said, and protocol. And I will, with your permission, go to the next steps. Also, the main point you see on the right, the existing models of today. Every models we found, they're all taking care of the operational crew. Now the research show that operational crew are very high level and they are well prepared. So if you talk about the police station, local police station, or you talk about the firefighters, or you talk about the soldiers, they don't need any help. They know what to do. The problem is on the left side, the decision maker. The higher you go, the bigger problem you have, because the higher politician, they don't know about fires, they don't know about pandemic. So the OEDM, the methodology, is go heavily on the decision maker, a little bit on the intermediate level, and very, very little on the crew. So the research show that most of the problem happens because the politicians and the high-level decision makers give wrong suggestions for the crew, but the crew know what to do. So this is the emphasis of the model. I will not go into it too much, but I just wanted you to know that we have an input. We have the We have the regulation state and the facility processes, maximum automation, 71 research conclusion. They go to algorithm, then they go to scenario algorithm. If it's fire, if it's pandemic, if it's earthquake, they go by combat clock. And the combat clock is not only for the people from the army that really understand the terms combat clock. What you just see, this circle with the line, this is the combat clock. So the name is probably frightening, but once you see the 2 hours explanation, you know what to do. And you have step transition, and you have other algorithms after use, and the data distribution, how to collect information, and then it gives you a recommendation, confirmation, and basically what it all does make dance all together to the same music and use user type speed. Okay, let's do a little bit of comparison with the models exist today. As mentioned before, in advance, the models that were checked in the research was advanced countries such as Germany, France, Israel, USA, Canada, Japan, and more. So countries that have a lot of money, they know emergency, they're intelligent, they disciplined. So we didn't take, countries that know. So, for example, the United States have 51 emergency authorities for fires, for floods. We all understand. Once you have 51 emergency authorities, then you have different directions. You have fire, fight between the organization and problem. If we take Germany, for example, Germany, once they have a nuclear incident, they have only 3 circles. The first one, the second one, and the third one is 100 kilometers. I want to explain. 100 kilometers radius. It's huge and it's catastrophic. I don't understand how Germans, such a smart, culture and country, did these 100 kilometers. I do not understand it. I wish I would. Most of them are 500 to 700 pages of guides that everybody understands are not open. It is important to say that France, from the research, have the best model. It's not like the methodology of OEDM, but it's the best of all modules we check. They have only 117 pages, and it's very correct, very precise, not enough for the crew's opinion, but it's the best that we find. Bottom line is a thick books, a lot of protocols, difficult to implement an emergency, and don't give an educated solution. Okay, let's go for the users of the methodology of the OEDM. Who are the users? So who can benefit from the OEDM methodology is politicians, head of states, state and city level decision maker. How long does it take? It takes a few months, and it depends on the size of the city to how to implement it. Yes, today, at the present time, 3 countries in the world testing the OEDM as the national overall emergency management methodology. Going to the last part of the presentation, let's talk about the limitation of technology. So we call it the ceiling glass. I will show you now 2 slides that are a little bit full of information, but I will try to make it simple. And from my experience, those 2 slides are really explain the problem of the technology, because technology is flying and there's not really a limitation of technology. What we see here, we see the value chain of system location and emergency management. For example, every event, let's say fire in California or pandemic, start with data collection. How many people happened, accident, how many died, etc., etc., etc. So to collect information, it's very easy today. We can do it with cameras, with the information system, with the media, with the social media. There are lots of information to ways to collect data. Then we go to the influence. Influence meaning, for example, if you have fires, so you have firefighters. If you have an earthquake, you need the army. So it doesn't matter what you have. Someone is influenced. It can be the problem or people. Then you add to immediate response. As we said, people do some stuff. I don't know if it's organized or not. Then you go to the earlier or the problem, which is with the wisdom, the intelligence, the processing of the decision. And some people and organization do operation from those decisions. Then you go to rehabilitation. Then you go to back to normal. I hope this slide is clear, because it's only preparation for the next slide. So this is the slide, the same slide. It said chain value, OEDM, compared to existing models. So this is what we see, as we mentioned a minute ago, full emergency event flow. Sometimes they call it command and control and monitoring system, etc. So we have all those buckets, and those are spaces. All the models that we checked, and I mentioned again, and the third time, Germany, France, Israel, Canada, USA, those are the countries we checked the models. They're all very good at collecting information, see who the influences to give some direction, and to do the immediate response. Nobody really goes into the heart of the processing of the decision making. Nobody goes to the operation after the decision making. Nothing for the models go to the rehabilitation step, and nobody go to the back to normal. So this is basically the slide that show you where are the existing models of today. They're all dealing with A, B, and some of C. No, none of them go. They may have some schemes how to do and what to decide, but this is, believe me, this is all the decision-making process. Okay, we come to the conclusion, and we say this: the strength of a chain is like the strength of its weakest link. It's the human. So the solution is inserting the human limitation into the tool, and this is what the methodology of the OEDM, Operational Emergency Defense Methodology. That's what it does. It takes the limitation of a human and plug it into a system that you can use and smallest the human problem. I would like to thank the bodies and executive of the IEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, and the International and the Atomic Energy of Israel, FEMA of the United States, and many others that were involved in this research. The army, police, politicians, they contribute to the research, examining the methodology, referring to sources, and making difficult questions from the reality of emergency. So thank you very much. And I will remind you that on November 10th, we will announce in the conference that we have the publication of the official nuclear and radiology 193 state rating. If you need more information, you can email me, telephone me, or go to one of those sites. Thank you very much.